Welcome to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Tuesday, February 16th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. Today is a very, very busy day. I did a presentation this afternoon, right at noon, for BASF, for the Midwest Hub African American Employee Group, AAEG, for BASF. And it was for African American History Month. So I spoke for them last year, and they invited me to come back this year and speak. So thanks to them. I presented, they wanted to deal with some of the skilled trades that enslaved Africans had here in the U.S. So that's what we talked about. There were at least 262 skills, trades, and crafts that African people had in this country from 1619 to 1865. So I dealt with that and a lot of other history as well, some of the history of the Moors going into Europe, etc., because they had skilled trades as well. All right, and then from 8 to 10, I taught my online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So we had Sister Nubia Wardford, the cultural anthropologist who we had on the show last night. She was our guest speaker in our class this evening. All right, so you can still register for the online course also. It's at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It meets on Tuesdays, 8 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All the sessions, we do the sessions live, but they're all archived, so you can go back and watch them over and over again also. So next Tuesday, February 23rd, I guess, will be Dr. David Imhotep, author of the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. Okay, so on today's show, the story broke today, and I knew it was coming. I knew the lawsuits were coming, and there are going to be more lawsuits for Benedict Donald, the traitor-in-chief. But the news came today that the NAACP has filed a lawsuit, it's a civil suit, against Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and the Proud Boys. And they are alleging violation of the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act, which was the third of four force acts in the 1870s. This is during Reconstruction, okay? And the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act, this deals with interfering with voting rights and domestic terrorism. The 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act empowered the president to use the armed forces to combat those who conspired to deny equal protection of the laws and to suspend habeas corpus if necessary to enforce the act. So we're going to talk about this. Once again, this deals with history. This deals with law. A lot of people don't know about this. So we'll talk some about that in this lawsuit, okay? And there are going to be more lawsuits coming as well. There are going to be more lawsuits coming also. All right. So on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow the people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man's thoughts or a woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events and history, politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828. or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Sign up for our email newsletter there as well. If you'd like this type of information, you want to support the African History Network, you can do so through Cash App, $ TheAHNShow, through Cash App, $ TheAHNShow, through Cash App, or through PayPal, paypal.me/TheAHNShow, paypal.me/TheAHNShow, or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We just posted the link here, so it helps us stay on the air 6 days a week, keep doing the research, pay some of the bills, stay on the air, etc. All right. Then you can also register for our online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And when you register, you can watch Class 1 from February 9th and Class 2 from February 16th. Okay. Meets Tuesdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch from around the world. We do the classes live. All the classes are recorded, so you can go back and watch them. All right. I want to jump into this story before we come up on the break here. So New York Times has a big story about this. Also Washington Post and News1.com picked up this story. New York Times has a story. NAACP sues Trump and Giuliani over election fight and January 6th riot. NAACP sues Trump and Giuliani over election fight and January 6th riot. The civil rights group brought the suit on behalf of Representative Benny Thompson of Mississippi, okay, and Benny Thompson is the chair of the Homeland Security Committee, with other Democrats in Congress expected to join as plaintiffs. The NAACP on Tuesday morning filed a federal lawsuit against former President Donald Trump, Benedict Donald, as I call him. You heard me calling that before, the traitor in chief. They filed a federal lawsuit against Trump and his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, okay, as well as claiming that they violated a 19th century statute when they tried to prevent the certification of the election on January 6, 2020. Now, the civil rights organization brought the suit on behalf of Representative Benny Thompson, Democrat of Mississippi, and other Democrats in Congress, including Representatives Hank Johnson of Georgia and Bonnie Watson Coleman of New Jersey. Okay, and they, including Representatives Hank Johnson of Georgia and Bonnie Watson Coleman of New Jersey, are expected to join as plaintiffs in the coming weeks, according to the NAACP. Now, when we come back from break, I'm going to share a couple of clips with you as well, because Derek Johnson, president of the NAACP, was interviewed on the Readout with Joanne Reed, and Benny Thompson was on MSNBC earlier today, being interviewed by Ayman Mohadeen. Okay, so we're going to go to that on the other side of the break. Now, the lawsuit contends that Trump, and if we pull up here on the screen share, we go to this article here from New York Times, then we're going to go to the one from News1.com also. Well, if you look at this article here from the New York Times, NAACP sues Trump and Giuliani over election fight and January 6th riot. Okay, and you see here a picture of Representative Benny Thompson. Now, the lawsuit contends that Trump and Giuliani violated the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, which is a statute that includes protections against violent conspiracies that interfered with Congress's constitutional duties. This is a statute, this is from the Reconstruction era, that it was designed to protect African Americans against the Ku Klux Klan and domestic terrorists conspiring against us and trying to terrorize us. But it's a 1871 statute that includes protections against violent conspiracies that interfered with Congress's constitutional duties. The suit also names the Proud Boys, the far-right nationalist group, and the Oath Keepers militia group. The legal action accuses Trump, Giuliani, and two other groups of conspiring to incite a violent riot at the Capitol with the goal of preventing Congress from certifying the election. Okay. The legal action accuses Trump, Giuliani, and two other groups, the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, of conspiring to incite a violent riot at the Capitol with the goal of preventing Congress from certifying the election. Now, the lawsuit is the latest legal problem for Donald Trump. New York prosecutors are investigating his financial dealings, which they should. New York's Attorney General, Letitia James, Queen Letitia, is pursuing a civil investigation into whether Trump's company misstated assets to get bank loans and tax benefits, as Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's attorney for 10 years, as Michael Cohen has alleged. And Michael Cohen, you know, when Cohen testified in front of Congress the second time, Cohen provided corroborating documentation to back up what he was talking about. So Donald Trump is in a world of trouble, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And a Georgia district attorney is examining his election interference effort as well, okay, which she should. Now, spineless Jason Miller, the little weasel spokesperson for Trump that you see, Jason Miller, an advisor to Trump, not sure what he's advising him on, noted in response to the lawsuit that the Senate had acquitted the former president of the article of impeachment on inciting an insurrection. The Senate voted 57-43, falling short of the 2/3 majority required to convict. Yeah, but most of them said that it wasn't constitutional to hold the Senate trial. They were wrong in saying that because the Senate voted that it was constitutional. But most of them that voted, most of the 43 that voted to acquit, they didn't say he was innocent. So, little Jason, he put this statement out. President Trump did not plan, produce, or organize the January 6th rally on the ellipse. President Trump did not incite or conspire to incite any violence at the Capitol on January 6th. Jason Miller said in a prepared statement that Trump told him to take his ass out there and say. He added that Mr. Giuliani, quote, is not currently representing Trump in any legal matters. Oh, that's your defense. What about when he was representing Trump in legal matters? In the lawsuit, Representative Benny Thompson of Mississippi said he was forced to wear a gas mask and hide on the floor of the House gallery for 3 hours while hearing threats of violence against any member who attempted to proceed to approve the Electoral College ballot count. Representative Benny Thompson also heard a gunshot, according to the lawsuit, which he did not learn until later had killed Ashley Babbitt, one of the rioters in the Capitol lobby. Now, Representative Benny Thompson is seeking compensatory and punitive damages in the lawsuit filed in federal district court in Washington. The suit does not include a specific financial amount. We're going to deal with this on the other side of the break. We'll talk some more about what is the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871. We'll talk about the other force acts, FORCE. There were 4 force acts of the 1870s. And then we'll let you hear what happened earlier today when Derek Johnson from the NAACP spoke about this suit, and Representative Benny Thompson. All right, listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by, everybody. Stand by. How's everybody doing? All right. Stand by. We'll be back from break in 3 minutes. Okay, we'll talk about the force acts. All right, how's everybody doing? You all can still register for my online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understand the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. As soon as you register, you can watch the class from today. All right. Stand by. Everybody share this broadcasting on social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. Stand by. How's everybody doing? All right, we'll be back from break in 1 minute. Yeah, Tawanda, Aaron, Tawanda. I'm tired. Tawanda asked, I'm very tired. It's been a long day. I was up to 5 in the morning working on this presentation. I had to give today at noon. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. Here I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. We are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. Right before the break, we were talking about the lawsuit filed today by the NAACP on behalf of Representative Benny Thompson and others suing Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, the Proud Boys, and the Oath Keepers, alleging violation of the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871. This is in regards to the January 6th insurrection, attempted insurrection that took place at the U.S. Capitol building. Also, I want to let you all know February 24th, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, the Lambda Rho Zeta chapter, Pontiac chapter, is having a Black History Month virtual panel discussion, and I will be one of the panelists. It's taking place Wednesday, February 24th, 2021, 7 p.m. to about 8:30 p.m., a night of celebrating Black history. Let's celebrate Black history. So if you visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, we have the information there. You can register for it. It's free to register. And there are accepting donations also. And it's a Zoom presentation. And you'll also find out information about a poetry night that they have coming up. So Marnice Jackson of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated invited me to be on the panel. So I couldn't say no. Those are my sisters. So if you go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and you scroll down, you see information for my radio show here. And then you click on this link here, read articles by Michael Imhotep. Below that, we have information for our online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So you can register for that. Click right there, register here. You'll see the flyer. And then we have information here for the panel discussion that I'm on for Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. That flyer's here. Click right here for register here. Okay. And it takes you to the next page and you can register and it's free. All right. Okay. So check that out. All right. let's get back to this lawsuit here. Oh, and if you want me to do a presentation for your group or organization, email me at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, if you want me to do a presentation for your group or organization. All right. So here's a little background on the Ku Klux Klan Act. All right. It's one of the 4 enforcement acts. I've talked about this before in some of my presentations. I'm going to try to pull up a slide here dealing with this as well. But when we look at the Force Acts, FORCE, the Force Acts, in U.S. history, they were a series of acts passed by Republican Reconstruction supporters in Congress between May 31st, 1870 and March 1st, 1875. Between May 31st, 1870 and March 1st, 1875, okay? The Force Acts. And they were designed to protect the constitutional rights guaranteed to African Americans by the 14th and 15th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution. Now, the major provisions of the acts authorize federal authorities to enforce penalties upon anyone interfering with the registration, voting, office holding, or jury service of African Americans. All right. Now, these laws are still on the books, even though they were weakened. I think it was about 1883. U.S. Supreme Court struck down part of the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act, but it's still on the books and it's still being used today as well. Prosecutor Kimberly Gardner in the St. Louis area is using that against police and elected officials down there in St. Louis. New York Times has an article dealing with that. Okay, let's look at this here. This is part of a presentation that I do, Black Migration 1619 to 2019, and I do it during African American History Month. So I have information dealing with the Ku Klux Klan Act. So what were the Force Acts? Okay, what were the Force Acts? Now this is from Britannica.com. Britannica.com has a section dealing with the Force Acts. So the major provisions of the acts authorize federal authorities to enforce penalties upon anyone interfering with the registration, voting, office holding, or jury service of blacks, provided for federal election supervisors, and empowered the president of the United States, empowered the president to use military forces to make summary arrests under the Act of April 20th, 1871 in South Carolina, okay? In South Carolina, 9 South Carolina counties were placed under martial law in October 1871. This act, this is by President Ulysses S. Grant. This act and earlier statutes resulted in more than 5,000 indictments and 1,250 convictions throughout the South. In subsequent Supreme Court decisions, various sections of the acts were declared unconstitutional. So a lot of people don't know that this took place during Reconstruction. Okay, the president declared martial law in South Carolina to crack down on the Ku Klux Klan. Okay, under the Act of April 20th, 1871, 9 South Carolina counties were placed under martial law in October 1871. This act and earlier statutes resulted in more than 5,000 indictments and 1,250 convictions throughout the South. So read about the Force Acts at Britannica.com, Britannica.com, which is the official website of the Encyclopedia Britannica. This is all tied into history. Okay, now the 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, defined citizenship and guaranteed due process and equal protection of the law. Vigilante groups like the Ku Klux Klan however, freely threatened African Americans and their white allies in the South and undermine the Republican Party's plan for Reconstruction, 1865 to 1877. Now, the bill authorized the president of the United States to intervene in the former rebel states that attempted to deny, quote, any person or any class of persons of the equal protection of the laws or of equal privileges or immunities under the laws, end quote. To take action against this newly defined federal crime, the president could suspend habeas corpus, deploy the U.S. military, or use, quote, other means as he may deem necessary, end quote. Now, this is from house.gov. House.gov is the official website, actually history.house.gov, history.house.gov. So house.gov is the official website of the House of Representatives, the U.S. House of Representatives. At house.gov, they have a history section that deals with the whole history of the U.S. House of Representatives and important bills that were passed in the House, things like this. If you go to senate.gov, that's the official website of the U.S. Senate. They have a history section there as well. Okay. So research this. This all ties into the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act that came about because of domestic terrorism taking place. This happens during Reconstruction. This happens as a legacy of slavery. And this is a law still on the books right now that's being used right now. Okay, so I want to go to this first clip here. This is from MSNBC. Ayman Mohadeen interviewed, we're going to go to clip one, Shakita. Ayman Mohadeen interviewed Representative Benny Thompson about this lawsuit. Rep Thompson discusses his decision to sue Trump and Giuliani over Capitol riot. Let's go to this clip.
Plaintiff in that lawsuit, Congressman Benny Thompson. He is, of course, the chair of the Homeland Security Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for your time. Let's start with the broad generalities here. What is the goal of this lawsuit? This case is civil, not criminal, we should note. Is the purpose here to create a record that Trump violated the law, or how would you describe it?
Well, it's to create the record, but it's also to set a standard. If you disagree in America with the outcome of an election, you don't riot. You don't do anything other than see that individual at the next election. If the Trump administration's philosophy of engagement, like happened on January 6th, becomes the standard, then every election you disagree with, you just go into the Capitol and tear it up, just like you're a third world country. So this, hopefully, at the end, will mitigate any difference that we might have, that in America, we settle our differences at the ballot box. We don't have coups, we don't have riots, we don't have anything that like occurred on January 6th. So this is a day that I've looked for ever since the Senate did not do its job. We have to have some semblance of order if our government is to remain strong.
So let me pick up on the point that you said, and we should also note to our viewers, we reached out, NBC News has reached out to Rudy Giuliani for a response. We have not gotten one yet, but I do want to read for you and our audience what the senior advisor to former President Trump said. This is Jason Miller responding to your lawsuit, saying President Trump did not plan, produce, or organize the January 6th rally on the Ellipse. President Trump did not incite or conspire to incite any violence at the Capitol on January the 6th. So my question to you, based on what you just said, is how are you planning to prove in a court of law that Trump and the other named defendants incited the violence that you and others witnessed and lived through?
Well, either the pattern and practice since November, the Trump administration encouraged people to come to Washington on January 6th, saying it will be wild. And so at that point, all of the emails and Twitter accounts that we can find, and those that were produced by the House managers to the Senate, will demonstrate just that. In addition to that, it's clear that in his speech, he directed the people at the eclipse to go to the Capitol and let your feelings be known. And that's what they did. They had no permit to go. He directed them to go, and they followed him. And the subsequent actions from that, we all saw it play out before their eyes.
Do you anticipate getting to, at least the discovery part of this trial to be able to depose the former president? Is that something you're seeking to be able to gather any evidence to substantiate the lawsuit?
Well, I'll let the lawyers design how they want to do it. I want to make sure that this never happens in our great country again. What I saw on January 6th is not what people have fought and died for down through the years. We saw the capital of the United States of America overrun by riotous individuals who call themselves patriots. A valiant Capitol policeman lost his life. Other individuals have lost their lives since. We have over 100 of those Capitol policemen who've been injured. This is not America. This is not our democracy, and we can't let this kind of riotous activity go on in any form.
Let's talk a little bit about that day, if I can. The lawsuit says that on January the 6th, you were forced to wear a gas mask, hide on the floor of the House gallery for 3 hours. You told the New York Times, quote, "I feared for my life." Tell me a little bit about the experience that day. I read through the document, through the lawsuit, and some of the description was quite harrowing. Tell us a little bit about what you experienced, what you heard and saw.
Well, thank you. The Constitution requires us, as members of Congress, after an election, that both bodies convene and certify those electoral votes. I came, like a number of other members of Congress, to observe the counting. And in the midst of the counting, the vice president, the speaker, other leadership in both bodies were whisked out of the gallery and left those members who don't have security details, those members who were there just to do their job. And we were there for quite a while, not knowing what was going on. We could hear the rumblings on the outside. We heard the gunshot on the inside where we were. Those kinds of things troubled me. Family members called me, checking on me. Mind you, we can't see from the gallery what was going on outside. We could see staff blocking the doors with furniture and all those things. And ultimately, we were directed around the entire gallery, but unable to get out because people had gotten to the third floor of the gallery and about to enter the gallery. So it was quite a harrowing experience. And again, these individuals were trying to stop Congress from doing its constitutional duties as members of Congress. So clearly, it played out in front of millions of people all over the world, not just in the United States. And we have to set a standard. This is not the standard that the number one democracy in the world should stand by.
Did you get a sense while you were living through that experience they were looking specifically for Speaker Pelosi? Did you hear anything that made you feel they were targeting her?
Oh, absolutely. The thing that bothered me equally as much was they were looking for the vice president. Now, I can't understand how the president of the United States would sick a riotous crowd on his vice president. But it's obvious he was so caught up in the fact that he did not want Congress to do its constitutional duties that the people came to the Capitol wanting to hurt any and everyone in leadership. So this is not who we are. I thought the Senate, in its infinite wisdom, would have the strength to convict him, but they didn't. And it was only after the Senate refused to do what I felt was their job, is to convict Donald Trump. This lawsuit is another opportunity. I'm from the South. That Ku Klux Klan law was basically put on the books to protect Southerners and other people from the Klan who didn't want this great country of ours to survive. But thank goodness it did. And now here we come full circle with this Klan-like activities of the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys and others at the direction of our president at that time, Donald Trump, when he said, go to the Capitol. Mind you, they did not have a permit to go. Mm-hmm. And he saw them leave and gave the impression that he was coming with them. But obviously, he would not do that because he has people to do his bidding for him. So the lawsuit will go before the court, and we'll have our day in court.
I want to pick up.
Okay. All right. Yeah, pause it right there. Okay, so as Representative Benny Thompson, who's the chair, Representative Benny Thompson of Mississippi, he's the chair of the Homeland Security Committee. And he's talking about the lawsuit filed today by the NAACP. Okay. And if you look at the article that we posted from New York Times, NAACP sues Trump and Giuliani over election fight. The civil rights organization brought the suit on behalf of Representative Benny Thompson, who you just heard from, Democrat from Mississippi. Other Democrats in Congress, including Representatives Hank Johnson of Georgia and Bonnie Watson Coleman of New Jersey, are expected to join as plaintiffs in the coming weeks, according to the NAACP. I want to go to this article here from, this is from newsone.com. Newsone has a good article dealing with this as well. The Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871 explained, as NAACP sues Trump Proud Boys for violating it. This is from February 16th by Bruce C.T. Wright for newsone.com. And they talk about, they say the nation's oldest civil rights organization on Tuesday filed a lawsuit citing the nation's oldest hate group and alleging that the former president, his lawyer, and far-right extremist groups violated a law that is nearly 150 years old. Okay. And then they go and talk about this. All of them have been accused of either inciting or participating in the violence that resulted in at least 6 deaths and interrupted Congress convening to certify the election of Joe Biden. The lawsuit accuses them of violating the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, which, quote, was intended to protect against conspiracies through violence and intimidation that sought to prevent members of Congress from discharging their official duties, end quote. The Ku Klux Klan Act was originally established to protect Black people from white supremacy-waged violence. All right, so check out the rest of this article. It goes on to say the defendants conspired to prevent. The lawsuit says the defendants conspired to prevent by force, intimidation, and threats the plaintiff as a member of Congress from discharging his official duties to approve the count of votes cast by members of the Electoral College through the presidential election held in November 2020. All right. Read the rest of this article here. Now, we're going to go to clip 2 in just a second, Shakita. I showed you, while the first clip was playing, I showed you from my slide presentation. This is a presentation that I do called Black Migration 1619 to 2019. Black Migration 1619 to 2019. And I first did it in 2019 for February for African American History Month. Okay. It's on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. When you scroll down, you'll see the the Black History Month 15 DVD bundle pack. Actually, Black Migrations is in this bundle pack. Okay, it's in that one. but it's a 6 DVD bundle pack. The Black Migration 1619 to 2019 bundle pack, and Black Migrations is in there. Okay, and some other lectures as well, including one dealing with the history of African American jockeys when we used to dominate horse racing, when we used to win the Kentucky Derby. And that's something I talked about in the presentation I did this afternoon for BASF, because one of the skills that we had during slavery in this country was that as a horse jockey and also horse trainer. So the first Kentucky Derby was won by an African-American man named Oliver Lewis. And Oliver Lewis was 19 years old when he won the first Kentucky Derby in 1875, May of 1875. And he was a former slave. Okay, here's Oliver Lewis right here. Here's Isaac Murphy. Here's Jimmy Winkfield. This is Winkfield in 1902 winning the Kentucky Derby. All these brothers, these were all winners of the Kentucky Derbies. All right, this is before 1921, okay, because we're going to get pushed out of horse racing by jealous white men. We were winning too much money, and as long as we were slaves, because we were racing horses during slavery, we were jockeys during slavery, because being a jockey was could be something that's very dangerous. Okay, so as long as we were owned by white people and we could make money for them, and they could bet on us and make money, it was all right. Now, when slavery ends and we're winning races and we're making like $20,000 a year, things like this in the late 1800s, you know, we were making so much money, there was a concerted effort to sabotage our horses, hit us with death threats, all different types of things like this, and force us out of horse racing. Okay. So I want to go to this. Oh, I wanted to show you this. This is from, this was the other slide in that presentation. And I talked about Kimberly Gardner, prosecutor Kimberly Gardner in the St. Louis area. And in January of 2020, this is an article from the New York Times, January 2020, prosecutor sues her own city under a law passed to fight the KKK. Okay, this is from the New York Times, January 13th, 2020. This is about the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871. Once again, Kimberly Gardner, the top prosecutor in St. Louis, who is under investigation herself, is accusing city officials of a, quote, racially motivated conspiracy, end quote, to stop her from doing her job. Okay, now I don't know what happened. Maybe she's not under investigation now. I don't know. This is what it said, January 13th, 2020. It's not really the point. The point is she's using the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871. A battle between St. Louis's first African-American top prosecutor and the city's largely white establishment escalated this week, with the prosecutor suing her opponents under a little-used federal law passed in the wake of the Civil War to stem violence by the Ku Klux Klan. Kimberly Gardner, the St. Louis Circuit Attorney, Kimberly Gardner, the St. Louis Circuit Attorney, accused city officials, the local police union, and a special prosecutor of a, quote, racially motivated conspiracy to deny the civil rights of racial minorities. A racially motivated conspiracy to deny the civil rights of racial minorities by interfering with her efforts to crack down on police misconduct and to institute changes in the city's criminal justice system. Now, with her lawsuit, Kimberly Gardner is in effect asking for a federal judge to step inside the workings of the city and the local court system to stop her civil rights from being violated under the U.S. Constitution and an 1871 law commonly called the Ku Klux Klan Act, which criminalized efforts to re-enslave African Americans. Okay. All right. So read the rest. Read that article also from New York Times, January 2013, that deals with the Ku Klux Klan Act also. All right. I want to go to this last clip. This is from the Readout, Joanne Reed, MSNBC, NAACP President Derek Johnson on suing Trump over Capitol riot. Quote, "We must hold people accountable," end quote. Let's go to this clip, Shakita.
know that as part of what happened in those riots, you had the Confederate flag flying in the Capitol for the first time. It didn't even happen during the Civil War. The Associated Press talks about dozens of the people who were charged spewing extremist rhetoric. The FBI has linked at least 40 defendants to extremist groups or movements, including at least 16 members of the neo-fascist Proud Boys, at least 5 connected to the Oath Keepers, etc. Is the crux of this lawsuit and the linking it with the Ku Klux Klan Act, is it about the racism of the people that were involved, or is it about the organizational sort of effort that somehow is connected to the way the Klan used to behave in the view of the NAACP and Congressman Thompson?
It's all of the above. Domestic terrorism in this country have always been rooted in white supremacy. Let's be clear about that. The actions of the 30s, 40s, up to present has been the basis of people who see certain citizens as legitimate and other citizens as not legitimate. The Klan Act was put in place to ensure Southern legislators would have the ability to exercise their sworn duties as congresspersons without intimidation and fear of retaliation. What we have seen as a result of January 6th is the need for the act to be enforced fully, because the Republicans in the Senate refused to carry out their responsibility in the face of all of the facts that Donald Trump, Giuliani, all the groups connected to them planned this out well before January 6th and carried out in a way in which they were seeking to delegitimize African-American votes across the country.
And we know that the Klan, the NAACP has actually been involved and been a party to suits against the Ku Klux Klan itself in the past. In one case, there was a big settlement that wound up basically making the NAACP the owners of the Klan's former property. That happened in 1987. What is the outcome that this lawsuit is seeking to have? Is it seizure of assets? Is it what is it that Congressman Thompson is trying to? What is his end game? What does he want out of the suit?
So first of all, he's the first of what we hope to be many members of Congress to join this lawsuit, because no one has been held accountable. It has been our experience as African Americans that if you allow this type of domestic terrorism to go unchecked, it would only expand and spread. So we must hold people accountable. Secondly, if there are any assets to be seized, we must cripple their ability to carry out any of these things in the future. And then thirdly, when it comes to Donald Trump, if we don't cut off the serpent's head, we will be guaranteed that the snake will bite. And at some point, he must be held accountable for all the harm he has caused, not only to the African American community, but to our democracy. How can we go and fight abroad the Taliban if we're unwilling to address the domestic terrorists that live in our backyard?
All right. So that's Derek Johnson, president of the NAACP. How you gonna go fight terrorists abroad and you don't want to deal with the domestic terrorists at home? Okay. So once again, if you look at this article again from news1.com, Derek Johnson said, quote, "If we don't put a check on the spread of domestic terrorism, it will consume the nation and transform it to something that none of us recognize." Derek Johnson told Politico about the lawsuit, Politico.com. He went on to say, quote, "We must, as a nation, prevent the spread of this type of boldness where insurrectionists will go to our U.S. Capitol and seek an act of treason." All right, totally agree. Okay, got to hold them accountable. All right, we're almost out of time here. Hey, if you'd like this type of information, also you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. Quickly, birthday shout outs. Lynn Whitfield celebrated her 68th birthday on Monday, February 15th. We didn't get a chance to do a birthday shout out then. I posted about it. It was a lot of birthdays. We'll get to some more birthday shout outs tomorrow. It's been so busy and we got to we couldn't cover a lot of them because we were covering the impeachment trial. But I posted about this on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. She turned 68, born February 15th, 1953. She began her acting career in television and the theater before progressing to supporting roles in films. Here's Lynn Whitfield. Remember her in The Thin Line Between Love and Hate? Okay, she's still fine. I posted this on my Instagram page, and she actually liked it on Instagram. So now follow Lynn Whitfield on Instagram. Send her a message. I'm waiting for her to respond back to me. But she clicked on like. She liked the post that I did. Now, she won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Limited Series or Movie and received a Golden Globe Award nomination for her breakout performance as Josephine Baker in the HBO biographical film, The Josephine Baker Story, 1991. I remember watching this. Remember seeing Lynn Whitfield portrayed Josephine Baker. In the 1990s, Lynn Whitfield played leading roles in a number of made-for-television movies and had several starring roles in theatrical films, including A Thin Line Between Love and Hate, 1996, with Martin Lawrence, Gone Fishing, 1997, Eve's Bayou, 1997, Stepmom, 1998, Head of State, 2003, Medea's Family Reunion, 2006, and The Women, 2008. Whitfield also starred in a number of movies in the 2000s and 2010s. From 2016 to 2020, she starred as Lady Mae Greenleaf in the Oprah Winfrey Network dramatic series Greenleaf, for which she won critical acclaim and garnered 2 NAACP Image Awards and a Gracie Award. Whitfield has won a total of 7 NAACP Image Awards. So happy birthday, Lynn Whitfield. This is Courtesy Soul TV. We're out of time here. Right now, it's Correct Wrong Behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Stay tuned for Pastor Greg Davis. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace. All right, everybody. Okay, hey, we're out of time here. You all can still register for the online course that I teach. It meets again Tuesday, February 23rd. I guess it's going to be, our guest speaker would be Dr. David Imhotep, author of the book, The First Americans with Africans Documented Evidence. So we'll talk about his new book coming out. We'll talk about the research and the African presence in the Americas going back tens of thousands of years. So the class is on sale, $80, regularly $130. It's a 8-week, 16-hour online course. It's usually 2 hours every Tuesday. You can watch from around the world. We do it live, and it's recorded, so you can go back and watch it over and over again if you miss anything. So we deal with thousands of years of history. We deal with what led up to the transatlantic slave trade happening. When we deal with the transatlantic slave trade, we can't start in the 15th century. We can't start in 1441 with the Portuguese going into Mauritania. We can't start in 1619. We have to understand that African people are the original people of North, Central, and South America. Dr. David Imhotep deals with this in his book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence, which came out in 2011. And also we talk about, August 20th, 1619 in Virginia and those 20-odd Africans, things like this. But we first have to understand that African people were in the land we call the United States of America, going back at least 51,700 years ago. And then we have to deal with a chronology of history and deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, who go into the Iberian Peninsula, today known as Spain and Portugal, in 711 AD. And the Moors had taken the teachings from ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, from the Nile Valley region of Africa into Europe, taking the math and the science and the chemistry and the algebra and the alcohol and the metallurgy, all different types of things like this, and bringing Europe out of the Dark Ages. So we're going to deal with what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. So we posted the link here. You can register here or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right. And as soon as you register, you can start watching. There's also bonus content there that you can watch as well. All right, look, we had to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now it's Correct Wrong Behavior. Also, and we also have the 15 DVD Michael Imhotep bundle pack, Black History Month bundle pack. It's at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com also. So that's just in time for African American History Month. There's a lot of information in that bundle pack. And there's also a presentation that deals with the history of African American History Month as well. Some dealing with the film Black Panther, all of that. When you scroll down, you see the information for the show, you see the information for the online course, and right here, click on order here, and then it shows you all the DVDs in the bundle pack. Okay, the 3 dealing with the film Black Panther, including one for children dealing with the film Black Panther, one dealing with the history of African American History Month and Dr. Carter G. Woodson. I have one on Malcolm X, one on the distorted legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the revolutionary will not be televised on the television. One dealing with the history of the Three-Fifths Compromise, history of the Electoral College. This one deals with economic empowerment and entrepreneurship. This deals with the history of the Star Spangled Banner, the racist history of the white national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance, and Francis Scott Key, who wrote the national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner in 1814 during the War of 1812. Also deal with the history of Colin Kaepernick's protests. This is a double lecture I did with Dr. David Imhotep. He talked about the first Americans were Africans, documented evidence. I dealt with great African women in history, the mothers of civilization. And then there's some other ones in here also. This deals with redistributing the pain, historic examples of economic boycotts that we've had. And then this deals with the Tuskegee experiment of untreated syphilis of the Negro male, the real history of it, because they did not inject them with syphilis. There were 600 men in the study. 399 of the men had an early form of syphilis called latent syphilis, where you don't have symptoms, but you have syphilis. 201 of the men in the study were the control group. They didn't have syphilis. So a lot of what people think happened with the study is not true. It's more urban myths. You get great African women in history, the mothers of civilization. So I deal with some well-known. This is you'll actually get the 4-hour presentations, a 2 DVD set, 4 hours. So I deal with African women in all different time periods all throughout our history. Okay, so those are just a few, and then also you get ancient Kemet, the winter solstice, and the history of Christmas that deals with the pre-Christian origins of Christmas and the winter solstice festivals that were celebrated amongst Europeans, different things like that. The festivals like the Roman Festival of Saturnalia and Festival of Mithra amongst the Persians, and we deal with those the pre-Christian origins of Christmas. Okay, all right. So check that out. That's the Michael Imhotep Black History Month 15 DVD bundle pack. We had those shipping out this week. Okay, we have to get out of here. Talk to you all tomorrow night. Peace.